I think it's working. Getting a little bit better at this every week. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is well. I should have been smart about this. Let me bring up what I want to be able to see. That'll be the same thing I complain about every time. Google emailing me to say, "Oh, did you know? Did you know you're live on your channel right now?" Like, yes, mate. It's me live. Also, more importantly, I can't see that because because I'm on the stream. I won't see my emails till after the stream. So yes, sorry. I wish there was a button I could press to mute my microphone, but unfortunately there isn't. Today is going to be a day. I am in a fabulously foul mood, which, you know, could work to your benefit. I'll tell you why, don't worry. Fabulously foul mood could work to your benefit because now, you know, you can ask me spicy questions and I'm more likely to give you spicy answers. See? There's the annoyance already. I've brought up. Nothing's working today. That's better. Okay. Move this a little bit so I can see stuff. That'll work. Okay. Rocking the Guile haircut, yeah. Hello, Bequeathed. Hello, Jason. Hello, Dave. And hello, Luke. So, yeah, don't worry, I'll tell you why I'm in a foul mood in a second. Make sure you go to the link in the description and download all of the files for this particular stream. I've prepared 2 different backing tracks and obviously a guitar profile and a PDF, so you can look at all of the examples, and the backing tracks are going to be really, really useful. Oh, I should be smart and move my looper pedal. Oh, that's not smart. That's not smart. The microphone didn't fall over. That's good. Oh, professionalism. Oh no, that's going to be a pain in the ass. Okay. So yeah, go and download the guitar profile. That is available in the description. It's bit.ly/Let's Learn Live 6. If somebody could post that in the comment section, that would be really helpful. Yes, anyway, so I'm just going to warm up for a second, give people a chance to show up, because that's good. I mean, I've been warming up for a while, and as warm as I can get on this guitar. Let's try that again. I'm reading. So, yeah, I'm having one of those lives, right, where I keep forgetting to do things like charging my mouse. I was going to be taking full advantage of that while I was doing this, and then because, the Apple mouse, terribly designed mouse that you can't charge while you're using. Anyway, so yeah, what's different this week? And why am I in such a foul mood today? Well, the answer is this guitar. Now, of course, when I say this guitar, it's not the guitar at all, is it? It's me. It's me. But I'm putting it on the guitar. So I sat down for this stream and I've made 2 backing tracks for it, and they have a sound. And the jazz tone that I've been using for the last, however many weeks of streams isn't appropriate. It's just not really the right vibe. We're looking at modal chord progressions and soloing over modal stuff. So we're going to talk about modal harmony today. And while you can play that and have like a jazz tone, I just felt like the rockier tone was more appropriate. So I picked up a rockier guitar. This is my Charvel Guthrie Govan. I don't play this very often, but it's a really nice rock guitar, really nice fusion guitar, and I can't make it sound good, no matter what I do with it. And it's not the guitar, it's not the guitar. It's me. I've changed so much as a player that my comfort zone is playing a guitar like my Benedetto or my Howard Roberts Fusion, which are both strung up with 15s and flat wounds and, strings that you don't bend. And the tone that you have is like flat and fat, super clean. And you don't do vibrato and things like that. And then I pick up this guitar and suddenly... You've got to be able to do all of those, bends. Yeah, that's an original Floyd Rose bridge on it. And I don't have the bar out here. The bar is in the gig bag. And I gig on guitars like this, but I've not gigged on guitar in a while. Most of my gigs have been piano gigs. And even then, when I'm gigging, I'm using a clean tone because I play in a soul band. So I'm using a clean tone like 85, 90% of the time. So yeah, I'm just finding myself in this really weird place where I'm not comfortable playing with distortion. And that's something that can be practiced. I've warmed up for a little bit before I was streaming. D minor, not C minor, you idiot. So yeah, I'm having to force myself to slip into a mode that doesn't feel like me. Mode, no pun intended. And that's an interesting one when you're a player, right? Because I feel the imposter syndrome today, and that's so strange to me because this is the guitar. This is the sort of guitar that I've spent a solid 17 years of my playing life playing. Rock guitar. Fusion guitar, distortion, shred. And now, anytime I do it, it just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel authentic. But we're here anyway. So any questions, please do sound off in that comment section. I'm reading all the comments. Jason Perry says, all the gorgeous custom shop Strat. Yeah, my custom shop Strat is in the house, is in my gig cupboard. I have a gig cupboard in the house where I keep stuff that we have to load in and out of the car for gigs. So I have my Strat is in there and my Sur is in there. I tend to gig with those. This one tends to stay out in the studio. Occasionally I'll pull it out for a gig, but... I just find the pickups on this are very like... hi-fi is the only way I can really describe them. And I'll be honest, that's me on the amp. I've got the bass set to 10. I've got the treble set to, it's about 3, and I've got the presence set to about 4. So I'm really trying to just get as fat a tone as I can out of it, and it's never fat enough. But such is life. Anyway, so a couple of things. So check out the links in the description. You can join my Patreon page, get access to hundreds of transcriptions, weekly guided practice routines, ear training videos, all of that good stuff. And you can even have private lessons with me. You want to sit down with me when I'm in a great mood and talk about music with me for an hour? We can do that. It's good fun. You can also purchase all of my guitar profiles for my books over there. So you can find those in the store page. Worth checking out. Great way to support the channel. Like $6 for a Guitar Pro set for a book. It's obviously not the book. You want to purchase the books. Speaking of which, you can go and purchase my books on Amazon. Have a look for Levi Clay. My latest book, Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines, is out currently. And, I like that book. I'm really happy with how that book came out. I've started work conceptually on my next book project, but I don't really want to talk too much about that currently because I'm putting in the work into making it happen. And when I'm maybe halfway through the project, I will let you guys know. So other than that, like I say, just a reminder, do go into the link in the description and you will find the downloadable files for all of this for this lesson. So let's do guitar stuff. So what is modal harmony? Modal harmony. It's funny, like to me, modal harmony is it's the thing that really got me into playing, shredding, soloing, right? So one of my first loves in music, spoilers, it's in the thumbnail for the video, was Joe Satriani. I remembered borrowing Flying in a Blue Dream, Surfing with the Alien from my girlfriend's dad when I was, I guess, 14 years old. And I went home and put that on, and I just loved the album. I loved it so much, and it's still a great album. And I spent so much time listening to Joe during that period. And Joe, of course, loves his modal harmony. So the more I went down that route, the more I got into being able to play over modal harmony. So when I talk about modal harmony, I remember a long time ago, I did an interview or discussion on the Guitar Hour podcast with my friend, Tom Quayle. And as the years have gone by, I've become less about modal harmony. I've been very, very into functional harmony. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, well, what's the difference between modal harmony and functional harmony? And the answer to that, I guess, is different for different people. So I'm going to give you the way I categorize them, the way, what they mean to me. Okay. So when I talk about functional harmony, I'm talking about chord progressions where there's a degree of expectation. So when I play a chord progression like this, if I go, you expect this G chord to go back to a C. In fact, we kind of want that to be a dominant chord because dominant function is a big part of functional harmony. So I've got a 1 chord, 6 chord, 4 chord, which is subdominant, 5 chord G. Now I could start changing some of these chords for other chords that share function. So I could go 1, 6. So I substituted the 2 chord for the 4 chord. The 4 chord is a subdominant chord, and the 2 chord has a subdominant function to it. It's preparation, tension, resolution. And I guess that's a good way of thinking about functional harmony. Preparation, tension, resolution. So anytime I'm playing over a chord progression that's functional in harmony sense, there's always a sense of where is home and where are we in relation to home. Probably the best way of thinking about it. Modal harmony, on the other hand, throws all of that out the window. And that's cool. Like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that in a negative way. Modal harmony would be more like painting soundscapes. Modal harmony is about exploring atonality rather than about the function of chords in a given key, if that makes sense. So, of course, a great example of that, one of the more obvious examples of that in the jazz world, was when Miles Davis came along and played. Because when it came to soloing over that, it's like, well, where are all of the chords? That's just a D minor sound or D Dorian sound for a long time, and that was like a different approach to soloing. That was if I lay a little loop down. How do I do this? Let's just go 1, 2. So now, instead of having function here, I just have one sound. And when you listen to the guys that were playing on those recordings, Miles obviously got it. He knew what he was going for with the modal jazz thing. But players like Coltrane, he wasn't there yet. He was looking for chords that weren't there, so he was trying to imagine chords that didn't exist. And that also results in a really cool sound. But at its core, modal harmony is about painting with this sound. So we have the strong sounds of the chord. And we have colour. And we have real colour. So, I could play around on that all day, and I would. I'd have a lot of fun playing on a chord progression like that. Progression is not a progression; it's a modal sound. I can explore it. Now, the beauty of the modal sound is that you don't ever have to worry about the function of chords. You can have long modal jams on one chord like that, and so what is a good example of that? Because it does that for 8 bars, 16 bars. I guess it depends how you count it. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So, one Dorian mode, and then another. So, Dorian. So that's painting two different modes together. D Dorian and E flat Dorian, they're not functionally related to each other. You just have to slip between one sound and the next. And, different players have composed different modal chord progressions with different vibes. I was going to say ever since, but ever since kind of works. If you look at someone like, to me, like a quintessential example of modal harmony for rock guitar players would be something like Joe Satriani's Flying in a Blue Dream, which I'm sure many of you know. At its core, we've just got this Lydian, let's play. Let's play. So if I lay that down as a Lydian quality, we go. Now that's one modal colour, and you could sit on that sound for a long period of time, and it's cool. But what Joe does is he does sit on that modal sound for a lot, but then he changes to the same modal quality, Lydian, but in a different place. So he goes from C Lydian and that's really cool. C Lydian to A flat Lydian. Really cool to be able to outline different modal sounds like that. And functional harmony doesn't come into it. You don't think to yourself, oh, okay, I'm playing C Lydian and I'm going to A flat Lydian. So before the A flat Lydian lands, I'll play some E flat, Super Locrian to lead to it. The functional thing has to go. That's such a great tune, actually, because after that, C, A flat. The chorus, the melody is just that, isn't it? The chorus is. And if you play those as chords, so it's this beautiful, every chord that you solo over is like this Lydian sound. So to me, that's a really good example of what modal harmony is. Now, you can do whatever that's the beauty of modal harmony. You can look at, chord progressions from modern fusion guys, and they'll just stick chords together that, in theory, have nothing to do with each other. And it works. If you do it right, if you find chords that you like the sound of, you could go between like an A minor 11... A minor 11, A flat 7 with a flat 5, A minor 11, then B flat 7 with a flat 5. You have, different modal sounds that you would play over each of those. You might play, let's throw some more melodic minor type harmony. So maybe I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So what did I play that? I played B flat 13, and I'd have, I have vocabulary. I have a mode. I know what mode I'm thinking of here, and so I would play that over it. My chord happens. Then I went to an A7 with a sharp 5 and a sharp 9, different sound. And then from there I went to this like an A flat minor major 7. And then I went to like an E flat 11, E flat minor 11. Now, as like if I lay them down, it's not like spend some time finding chords that you prefer the sound of. But if I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I could play. Now, of course, looper, distortion, they don't work all that well together. But you get the idea, right? So it's this idea of I'm just collecting these sounds, a modal sound, and I'm putting it down and then choosing a different mode. And different players have different ways they compose different modal chord progressions. Joe Satriani, of course, likes to talk about pitch axis theory, which is like something that he's coined. And it really doesn't matter on the chord progression. You can think of a lot of non-functional progressions as being modal chord progressions, and you're just playing different modes over them. Sometimes you're only using 1 or 2 modes. Sometimes you're using lots of different modes. Sometimes just one mode. Not important. What's important is knowing the right sound for each chord, and that's what we're going to look at today. So I've got a chord progression, or 2 loops for you. Let's take a listen to the first loop. Sounds like this. That's it. 2 chords. Sorry, let me answer these questions. So, didn't Coltrane take a lot of inspiration from Slonimsky? Slonimsky, it's hard, such a hard word, hard name to say. In terms of atonal development, he certainly looked and worked on the thesaurus of melodic. What's it even called? Thesaurus of melodic. No, I can't think of the rest of the title. But yes, he did work from that book, and he certainly brought in some weird outside sounds. But I wouldn't really think of Coltrane as bringing in atonality into what he did. He got spiritualness into that kind of expressionist sheets of sound thing. Flying in the Blue Dreams, one of my favourite. It's a good tune. Yeah, really good tune. So yeah, anyway, that chord progression is just two minor 7 chords that I've strung together. We've got an A minor 7, then we're just going to move now. To me, this is like the quintessential, the first chord progression that you should look at learning to play over, because this Let's Learn Live is about playing over changes. This is the first one you should tackle because it's 2 very common chords, minor 7 chords. So simple sounds, therefore simple vocabulary over them, but also very practical. If you listen to a lot of Greg Howe's music or a lot of Guthrie Govan's music, if you think of like fives, classic example, long time since I played that, but if you listen to the solo in that, it's a long A minor 7 and then it's a long C minor 7, so it's outlining those 2 modal qualities. It's a modal chord progression. So let me give you the first example that we're going to look at. So first example, very, very simple. And shock horror, arpeggios. So we play our chord. I've written an A minor 11 chord out. Just to me, that's a good representation of what the chord sounds like, of what the mode sounds like. But you can just play an A minor 7. And then we just play our arpeggio. So I've written just 2 of them out here. I've written our E shape. In fact, let's use the piano for this, as well as I can when I'm sat like this. So let's go. Level for that should maybe be okay. So just play my arpeggio. Is level okay on that keyboard sound? Now we've got to know our intervals. We have to know our arpeggio, because that's the strong tones, the sounds that are going to guide us towards being able to move from one chord to the next. So I've written out 2 positions, like I say. I wrote out the E shape. I also wrote out the A shape. But in the long run, we want to know this everywhere. Or these hybrid arpeggio. Now, if you don't know your arpeggios all that well boy, have I got a book for you. Guided guitar arpeggio practice routines. Head on over to Amazon and get yourself a copy of that. Nice little plug. So yeah, we just have to know those. We got to know our arpeggios. And for me, I'm going to turn the loop down, the keyboard down a bit more. I want to spend a bunch of time just getting really familiar with just those 2 arpeggios. Nope, just the notes of the arpeggio. So I can do that for A minor. Maybe I stay in one position. 3, 4. You have to know that, and I'll do a different position. Different position. Different position. Different position. And I just make sure that I'm really comfortable with those, so that more importantly, when I change my key, if I now go to, let's play C minor 9 sound. And I could just, the 9 is a bit obnoxious in that, so let's not put the 9 in there. Let's play so I can just take my time with that again. C minor. If you don't know your arpeggios, you're not going to be able to do the next exercise, which is to put your loop on, and then I'm just going to play arpeggios. 1, 2, 3, 4. The outlines, the changes, it really helps me to hit that modal change. Let's go here. A minor, C minor, A minor, Now, an exercise I like to do on that is I will try and sit on one note and I'll listen. Where does it want to go? If I go. Go. Trying to listen to where the note on A wants to go for the C. So yeah, that's first exercise. You just have to be able to play arpeggio, and that applies to any chord progression, absolutely any chord progression. So if I give you the second chord progression, the second chord progression sounds like this. This is a C major 7 going to a B flat 7. Really like that. But it's still B flat 7. C major 7, B flat 7. And if I want to play over that, I have to be able to play C major 7. To B flat 7. Now, as you can tell, or probably can tell, this is more me in terms of chord progression, but the exercise is the same. Now it's slower, so I guess that gives you a little bit more time to think, and I'm moving around a lot, but you want to stay in one position and say, can I play C major 7 with my hand here? Sounds like this. B flat. C major 7. B flat. C major. Now you can hear me outlining the chord change there, right? Great question. Yeah. So, brilliant. My brain instantly wants the scale. Like, oh, is flat 7 Lydian dominant? It asks. But it's cart before the horse. Get the arpeggios down first, right? Exactly. Because the reason I teach it this way is because you're right that it's Lydian dominant, right? You are right. But that requires you to know Lydian dominant. You know what I mean? And not all of my students know Lydian dominant. In fact, 100% of the students that are new to Lydian dominant don't know Lydian dominant, but 100% of the students that are new to Lydian dominant do, or certainly if they've studied with me, already know 4/7 of the scale. They already know the arpeggio. So as we're going to start introducing other notes in and around this, and we get into that, if I play Lydian dominant so everyone else can hear that, we got this. Beautiful sound, but it requires knowledge. Well, it doesn't require, but unless you want everything to be a series of new patterns that you have to learn, knowing your arpeggio first, knowing most of the thing is good. And occasionally I will spontaneously say a thing in a lesson and I pray to myself that I remember it, because I said something there and I thought about it and I'm like, I really like that as an idea. So I'm going to repeat it, and hopefully it'll drill into you guys, but also I'll remember it when it comes to teaching this stuff moving forward. And that was the idea that every time I teach Lydian dominant to somebody, 100% of the students who don't know Lydian dominant don't know it. But if you start with an arpeggio-based vocabulary, when you teach Lydian dominant to somebody who doesn't know it, they already know 4/7 of it. They've already got a starting ground for it. And the same is going to be true, if I said, I want you to improvise with Locrian Natural 2. I love Locrian Natural 2. It's got a really interesting sound to it. But if you don't know the scale shape, if you're like a 3-note string player who has to know a scale pattern for it, you panic and you're like, oh, I don't know it. But for me, if I need to, improvise with like a Locrian Natural 2 sound, I guess I can lay a loop down. Though the distortion won't help, but I know that's my basic sound, minor 7 flat 5. So then when I start adding, led with that Lydian. I've led with that minor 7 flat 5 thing. So that's going to be really, really helpful for us. And that's what I want you to do. So you have to know your arpeggio. Once you've got that, we can then move on, and we can start playing pentatonics. So of course, I know you want to jump in and be like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just do the full scale? But again, we want to see all of these things as tools. Let's have a look at this. Toby does that. So just there exists a scale common to both chords, and what happens if not? No, it doesn't. Kobe, I appreciate that Toby asked the question, but I'm the teacher here. Ask me. I'll answer the question. No, of course it's you can have two scales that two modal sounds that aren't related to each other. They don't share a scale. They don't share a modal sound. But with essentially what Toby's ear has picked up on there is that while that second chord is a B flat 7, and generally speaking, over 7 chords we lean towards playing mixed Lydian. The problem with B flat mixed Lydian is that it contains the note E flat, and there's nothing wrong with the note. It sounds great over the chord. But we've just come from a C major, which contained an E natural. Now that E flat isn't in the B flat 7 chord, so it's not essential to the chord. So if I can keep the note E, it's gonna sound smoother in relation to the chord that you've just come from. Would be what I would say to that. So anyway, minor pentatonic for minor 7 chords, and we'll go back to the first chord progression. This is all we're looking to do is how well can I go, or 5 shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to 1. I named them poorly. I guess 5 starts first. 1. And you want to know those like really, really cold, so I can put on a loop and go. Actually, let's lower my volume. I'm here to answer questions, Cody. It's never interrupting. That's why I'm doing it live rather than pre-recording. So that's all of our minor pentatonic shapes. And we just need to know those really, really cold, so you don't think about them, because when I'm improvising, I don't want to be thinking shapes. I want to go. And as I always like to point out, when I'm doing that, I'm not staring at the fretboard, it's up. The other thing that holds me back is like, okay, now I need to get that down in all 12 keys across the whole fretboard before I can leave the house. Yeah, I know that struggle. I don't believe in needing to do things in 12 keys or even necessarily along the whole fretboard. This is why, for any of you guys that are Patreon members, or you follow my teaching for a long time, you'll know that I teach a 3-position based system. And it doesn't mean there are only three areas to play on the neck, but I'm really, really militant on this idea of like, we have 3 strong areas, key areas. And by doing that, we sort of keep that thinking in check where, but I can't do it in, my 4-note per string pattern if I start on my pinky finger on the D string. Like, who cares? Can you do it in your 3 shapes? If yes, move on. If yes, move on, because you're only going to get better as time goes on. And when you revisit these things, you find that you can do more than you did before. It's not like where I am with my playing now. When I learn a new thing, I shouldn't have to practice that thing in order to do it. If I'm fluent enough on the instrument, hopefully, that when I learn a new concept, I should just be able to apply that thing everywhere on the fretboard. So continuing on new things and getting familiar with your fretboard is like such a great use of your time. And it's why, there are 5 pentatonic shapes, but still, if you only use 3 of them, the shape 1, shape 3, shape 4, now, the key thing there wasn't just that I was using the scales or using the shapes, right? The key thing there was that everything I played sounded like a musical phrase, yeah? And it's so easy to sit and practice pattern, which is a strange thing to point out because I'm about to give you another pattern. But in the long run, my phrasing with stuff like this has developed through copying the things that I hear, practicing sequences and learning ideas, and then letting the melting pot of music happen. So if we look at the next example, this is it's not technically thirds, it's not technically fourths. This is a very pattern-based approach that I like to apply when I'm looking at the minor pentatonic scale, where I will take any scale pattern. So if I take E shape, you have a low note and a high note on each string. If I just play 2 low notes and 2 high notes, and you can mix the direction. To me, that's like a good demonstration of like knowledge of the position, and I can do that. And the key thing is, can I do that everywhere? Or that's a good demonstration of the knowledge of the position, right? So I spend all that time with the knowledge of the position. So then when I go, good question. That's a really good question. Loving these changes lessons. Never really played over anything modal, so finding that this is all very interesting. Sorry if I missed it, but do triads work here? Absolutely, yeah. Triads absolutely work on here. I don't even want to say that it's not important. It's one step before the 4-note arpeggio, right? So on this, I'm taking for granted a couple of things. I'm taking for granted that when A minor happens, you can see root notes. A minor, A minor, A minor. That's my 3 positions. A minor. Easy. Then I assume that you have this, which is Stuff that I teach extensively in my weekly guided practice routines on Patreon. I'm going to plug those things until I die. Die of starvation. I'm a long way off starving. So there's my minor triads. And then here, triads. Here, triads. And yes, you can make melodies with those. If I go... Let's go. So I'm using, largely triad sounds over that. And the reason triads are really useful, this is definitely a bigger side here, but you can do things like triad pairs, right? I could play over this A minor. I could play A minor, but also G. So if I play a melody that goes, maybe we go, that was an A minor triad, G major triad. That's really... So you can actually, you can bring more sounds in, like if you have your triad knowledge. There's definitely a degree of like assumption of knowledge in there, because I don't want this stream to be 5 hours long. Anyway, I find the triad harder because of the bigger leap, fourth to the fifth, back to the one, absolutely. Whereas the 4-note arpeggios are more connected on the hand for me. Yeah, so I think that's also fair. That's totally fair. But it leads really nicely into that pentatonic thing. So for me, the thing I like about a pentatonic over a triad, over an arpeggio, is that I just see scales as being the ways that I connect harmonic information. And when I say harmonic information, my chord is an A minor 7. So the harmonic information is... And I have a general rule, okay? Anything, a jump larger than a minor third is a large jump, is what I would call a large jump, okay? And therefore, it needs to be connected. So when I take just the triad, 1 to flat 3, that's totally fine. The jump isn't so big that it needs to be connected. But if you wanted to, you can put the 2 in there. The flat 3 to the 5, well, that's a major third jump. So it's a larger jump, I want to connect it. The 5th to the root, that's a perfect 4th. I want to connect it. So we end up with... And the same thing is going to be true of a major chord. If I take an A major, going from the 1 to the 3, that's a major third. It's too big a jump, let's connect it. The 3 to the 5, that's a minor third. That's fine, I don't need to connect it. The 5 to the root, it's a big jump, let's connect it. So for me, the pentatonic is just the most sparsely connected form of triad. You go triad to triad to pentatonic, that's the word I'm looking for. Triad to pentatonic, and then through to full 7-note scale. And again, from that point, once you're playing a pentatonic, okay, now thirds are too big. So anytime there's a third, Oh, it's too big a distance. Let's connect it. That's fine. So, connect. Don't need to connect it. It's only a second. One final question. When picking triad pairs in this context, are you just choosing any diatonic triad close to the first one? No. I'm picking based on what I like the sound of. So there are, like, to me, if I'm playing over an A minor chord, A minor and C major, technically that's a triad pair. But they're too similar, right? So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to create a sound, and because I'm playing a Dorian vibe, I'm asking myself what other triads against that A bass note sound good, and I know G creates a nice 7 sus sound. So A minor and G work really nice. That's gonna give me like the chord quality that I'm looking for. But I also have to think like I'm playing Dorian, right? And Dorian, it has this strong 6 sound in there. So I can look at that and go, well, which of my triads in the key of G, because A minor, A Dorian's in the key of G, which of those triads can contain the F sharp? And I'd go, oh, okay, D major. So A minor and D major. So D major sounds a good ones to offset against it. But the more you play, the more you'll just get triad pairs under your belt. So one that I'm really, really fond of, and it's an outside sound, is I will play over this. I'll play my 1 sound. I'm actually going to make it major. Let's go. So what I'm doing there is I'm using E flat majors. It's like real tension, right? Now you don't want to sit on it for a long period of time, so that's the sort of thing where I would sit and write lines, right? I might go. Yeah. You're just looking for little ways that you can slip into a different triad sound. So yeah, you just find different things. Thanks so much for answering my questions, man. Too kind. That's what I'm here to do. That's what Let's Learn Live is for. It's not pre-recorded. Where is it? Damn it. There. It's not pre-recorded like all of my weekly guided practice routines. Those are really focused. Go and study those. Go and join me on Patreon, because that's how I keep my lights on. This is about asking questions. That makes sense? So a triad, a tritone in a way, is an easy way to access an outside sound. Absolutely. Another one that is really cool is a triad from the major 6. So if I'm on A, the major 6 is is F sharp. So if I play an F sharp major triad, I really like that. We're in A, not in B. There's a good question. How much is Patreon? You can join my Patreon for $1. There's a $1 tier. You don't really get anything on that. On the $5 tier, you get access to all of the transcriptions that I post. There's a $10 tier, which gets you access to all of the ear training stuff that I post and the piano videos that I post. And then the $20 tier gets you access to my weekly guided practice routines. There's a $50 tier that you can get on, and that gets you a private lesson with me once a month. That's a good use of your time. That's limited to 30. I think 26 of those are taken at the moment. Yeah, so those are your basic tiers on Patreon. Okay, let's keep going. So from there, we've done our pentatonic exercise. Let's do this one. So now we can expand and connect up all of the notes of the mode. So now I'm going to turn my pentatonic into Dorian, which is going to give me... Now for me, it's, in my playing at least, the value I like is not doing this. We've all heard that, right? All this. All that rolling through note string legato stuff that, as you can tell, I can't do it very well anymore because I don't like that. That's just like application of 3-note per string, playing modal sounds. And people that copy Joe Satriani do that. Joe does something that sounds like that, but it's not quite that. For me, when I play my mode now, there's a lot more control that's happening because I know it's like a hierarchy, right? I've got this really strong sense of hierarchy. These are my chord tones. This is how I connect my chord tones and make them pentatonic. This is... And each step in the hierarchy there introduces more colour. So, triad. We'll come to that note. Every note is like cold, sterile, sounds like the chord. When I add those pentatonic notes, the notes are cool, but it's got like a bluesy quality to it. And then as soon as you start introducing the other two notes, the ones that fill out that pentatonic into a mode, and I will play and jam and just focus on one of those intervals. So if I just focus on the two, the second, I'll keep landing on this note so I can hear what it sounds like. that's me really hearing what the second sounds like. I just put a dent in my guitar from my watch. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's me adding the second. Now if I focus on the 6, which is the F sharp, really strong Dorian sound there, right? So. And the fun thing with that is you can then start creating hybrid pentatonic things. So like Robin Ford, people call this scale the Robin Ford pentatonic scale. It's a minor pentatonic scale, but instead of playing flat 7, you just play the 6 instead. So we'd have and hopefully when I do that, you get better and better at hearing which one of those intervals is which. The 6 has a very distinct sound to it. The 2 has a very distinct sound to it. This is what I need. Try and get better at devolving to target the 3rd on every... Yeah, need to target the 9. And yeah, and you get really, really good at hearing what that sounds like. So, I'm going to bring my face on. And this one is for Toby Ellis, songwriter. So what is this? This is a different sound. I'm bringing a different quality here now. Excellent. Yeah, great. So I'm playing the leading tone there. I'm playing the major 7 instead of the flat 7. Now you could call that the melodic minor scale. Now melodic minor is my favourite scale. Modes of melodic minor, my favourite scale sounds. Some people want to teach melodic minor as being the major scale of a flat 3rd. That's stupid. If anyone teaches you that, run the opposite way. You have a bad teacher. Because we should learn a sound, a scale. We should compare it to the context in which we use it. So we don't play major scales with flat 3rds. The context that you play a melodic minor scale is almost always, not almost always, but let me rephrase that. Anywhere that you can play Dorian, you can play melodic minor. They pair like this. So you want to think of melodic minor as being Dorian, and this ties into this example, which I have on the screen here. This just ties in. Oh, Mike, how's it going, man? This ties in really well with this particular sound. Anytime we have Dorian, you can play melodic minor on it. And we get used to hearing this major 7 as a tension and how to resolve it. So when I played there, I played, and then so I use both the the regular 7 sorry, the regular 7 and the flat 7 there. So to me, I want to know these scale sounds. I want to be able to play melodic minor. And again, if we know our triad, then we know most of it. Instead of, we're going to play. Oh yeah, the Running Man theme. That's a really, really great, great theme. That I don't have a way to play that for people, unfortunately, because I could play it over the stream. Yeah. So melodic minor, beautiful, beautiful sound, and the skill comes in right when we put on this backing track. Let's go to. Now, of course, this backing track you might find is a bit pacey for you. Yeah, a bit pacey. So maybe you set a little loop up for yourself. Twice as long on each chord is always good for yourself. So if we go. C minor. Now, you know, a million ways that you can practice on that. But a fun way to do it might be to play C minor like this. So I'll go. How can I resolve to the A sound? To the fifth. To the third of C. The root. The root again, apparently. The fifth. The third. Hey Levi, how do you know when to start the next phrase for the next chord after you target? We think about that. Hey Levi, how do you know when to start the next phrase for the next chord after you target a certain note? Well, I'm really focusing on. I know how long my phrases are. My phrases tend to be two-bar phrases, so it's really focusing on targeting a chord. So here I want C. If I want to land on the third of A. So I want to get to this note, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still on A. Now I'm targeting this note. We're on A. C. So yeah, I like this as an approach, but really the fun for me comes in when we look at the other chord progression. So I can do the same thing on this. I can play arpeggio. That's triad. Now triad is very boring, right? So then I'll play 7th arpeggios, which is going to be C major 7, B flat 7. And just silly things like that, like this B flat. Target the 3rd of C. It's like a really nice resolution, so my ear pulls me towards it. I'm getting carried away. So did arpeggio, pentatonic, B flat, C major pentatonic, B flat, and do my sequences right. If I go triad pair, if I go and then after pentatonics, then I flesh it out to the full to the full scale sound. So just thinking C major, C Ionian. But when I play C Ionian, you know, you don't see me play. I'm never going to go, oh, it's C Ionian. Because I hate that. I want my lines to be very deliberate, so I don't play my scales as like these linear things. C major, I might play. There's a line, right? C major. And then that gets me to the flat 7 of my B flat. So I might go. So it's all about just like, you have to have your lines, your vocabulary for the ways that you put. And I say you're like, I really want to be really clear about this. I'll look dead in the camera. I don't play anything on the guitar that's unique or original or special or fancy or like, oh, you know, where did he get that from? Everything that I play is language. Every little piece of guitar that I play is the language that we speak, the musical language. There's a reason that although this note is in C major, and 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 this note is in C major, there's a reason I don't play lines that sound like this, right? Because you hear it and you're like, oh, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm using the letters of the alphabet, but I'm not speaking words. I'm not speaking phrases. So I listen to probably different players than a lot of you guys listen to. So the influence of where I draw my lines from is different. That doesn't matter. You don't have to have my influences, but you have to have the understanding of you have influences. Explore your influences. Suck up the vocabulary. Find your voice. Find the way you like to speak on the instrument. So maybe you like all that legato rolly sound. Maybe you love all of that. I used to when I was a kid, but like it kind of lost it for me. So now C major, I need interesting things, so I might play. That's a C major line. And I want to emphasize this. When I play something like that, I'm thinking 1, 7, 9, 1, 9, flat 3, 3, moving up, triad, so 3, 5, 1, up to 3, pull off to 7. So I'm thinking intervals when I'm doing stuff like that. And maybe I go... that takes me to my B flat. I like that, that works. There's a bebop type line, right? It's not B flat at all. Question there. That sounds so good. No one teaches as good as Levi. He explains it so precise. Thanks very much, Live to Play Guitar. Of course, if you want more from Levi, if you want more from Levi, you can head on over to my Patreon page. You can also buy guitar profiles over there for all of my books. All of my books? What's that? You have books? Yeah. Go to Amazon. Check out some of my books. Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. That's my latest book. And, you know, arpeggios. I love arpeggios. I love, love, love arpeggios. Everything that we've been talking about here, when you really think about it, why do my C major lines not sound like I'm just playing the scale? Because although C major as a scale is this, those are the notes, right? To me, C major is an arpeggio. And the way I connect those arpeggio tones, I might go... I've just got, you know, different ways that I like to connect things. And that has all come from arpeggio. So big believer in learning the arpeggio. Anyway, when you say intervals, you mean scale degrees, right? Rather than literally horizontal interval between every line. Yeah, fantastic question. I'm working on an ear training course. I've been saying that for almost a year now. I've got a pen and paper and I've been making notes of like things that I think are really important. And there are two, when people talk about learning intervals, yeah, there are two sorts of intervals. And sometimes you hear people talking interval relationship from one note to another note. But I always ground my interval from a root note, from the root note of the chord. So you hear guys like Carl Verheyen, when he's playing lines, he'll go, so I play a D, then I jump up a fifth, then I jump up another fifth, then I go up a tone, then I'll go up a fourth. And he'll think like that. And he'll say all of the relationship from one note to the next, because he's definitely thinking like that. And I think there's probably a degree of hearing like that. Like you hear an interval leap that you want to make. But for describing a line, when I played that, I'm thinking 1, 5, 9, flat 3, flat 6. Because that's what all those intervals are in relation to the D. And yeah, that's the only way I could do any of this stuff when it comes to playing over chord changes. If I put this on, I can do this, or I can go 3, flat 7, 5, go to 2 notes. Let's go 1, 6, 1. Let's go 3, 5, 1. So 5, 7, 2. 1, 7, 5. 1, 7, 5. 3, 1, 6. 6. Actually, that's a nice example there. So when I play like that Lydian dominant chord, thinking, always knowing intervals, because I know that this is my 5. That tells me where my sharp 4 is. Because this is my 1, then this must be my 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5. Because this is my 1, that must be a flat 7. You do a country bend there, but a sharp 4. So again, 1, 3, 5. If this is 5, this must be sharp 4. So now my scale. Now I've got my chord and then scale. You don't want to do country, the pedal steel bends when you've got a floating bridge, obviously. So I shouldn't do that. But I can't pick up the Pat Martino and do it because that guitar has 15s on it. Yeah, so that's me. That's me, guys. That's all the lesson you get today. I've been streaming for an hour and a half, and I only stream for an hour and a half on Wednesday. So I am going to take a few seconds to just do a little bit of playing. I'm going to set down an E chord because I like an E chord, like an E7. Any questions about any of this, let me know in that comment section. Do I have a course on these strategies? Just my weekly guided practice routines. Of course, you know, I've got the books where if you go for the guided practice routine books, Foundation, Intermediate and Advanced, you're going to get these. But of course, that's book, that's written with audio, whereas weekly guided practice routines on Patreon, it's all video. can't see me anymore. Cool, that's me. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Like I say, there are downloadable files in the description for this. You can download the backing tracks that I've used, along with the transcriptions of the exercises that I looked at today. Put the backing tracks on. Spend some time with those. You will, come on leaps and bounds if you put in the time. Just learn vocabulary, and then make sure that you apply it over the correct chords, rather than thinking this is in the key of. You're focusing on the chords. The secret to playing over changes is you have to play the actual chord that you're playing over. Great way of doing that. Learn your arpeggios. I've been Levi Clay. You've been awesome. Go and subscribe to my Patreon page. Again, all the links for this are in the description. You can get loads of cool stuff, hundreds of transcriptions, ear training videos, weekly guided practice routines, and private lessons with me if you want that. You can go on over and get my guitar profiles for all of my books. I've got 16 books now. A lot of books. The guitar profiles for all of those are on my Patreon page in the store. You can also go to Amazon and check out my new book, which is Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. I have started work on a new book. I can't tell you what that is yet. I bought a new guitar for it because I needed a specialist guitar for it. That's probably anyone that's followed my social media knows what guitar that is. Hopefully I've sourced one of those now. I can't wait for you guys to see that. But yeah, in the meantime, go and grab a copy of Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. Your love and support is very much appreciated. Thank you so much to Kobe. Thank you so much to Toby. Thank you so much to Jason. Thank you so much to Mike. Did we have Jamie earlier? And I think I see a Jeffrey there in recent. And Live to Play Guitar. Thank you so much for your interaction, because it does make the streams a lot more tolerable. Once again, I've been Levi Clay. You've been awesome. And I will see you for another stream soon. Now, I know I kind of have to sit here for a few seconds before I close the stream, so I'll do that.